Good morning. Welcome to the morning show on WRCO Radio. I'm Ron Fruit. Today, it's a treat to have community players of southwestern Wisconsin in the studios with us today, as we all look forward to It's a Wonderful Life, opening 1 week from tonight. Director Don Hart joins us on the program today. We also are pleased to have Colt Watson, Paul Murphy, Leah Spry, and Glenn Dunn, all representing a large and capable cast that will provide you some great treats for the holiday season. To all of you, welcome and best wishes. Is it a wonderful life at the Richland Center Auditorium right now, the Richland County Performing Arts Center, as you prepare, Don, for It's a Wonderful Life?
It is a wonderful life.
Awesome.
I mean, it is a wonderful cast. It is a wonderful crew. It's a wonderful show. It's coming together very nicely the last several weeks. We've had, a much shorter rehearsal schedule than I've worked with in the past. But we came into it well aware of that. We've all pitched in. We've all been working together very well, and yeah, it's really coming together very, very well. I'm pleased with what I'm seeing on stage, and we have opening night a week from tonight, and I think we're going to be very ready by then.
What a wonderful play for the holiday season, and this really is a full devoted production. You're working with a script, and sometimes during the holidays community players have done some original pieces which have been nice, but this really requires you to be at your best in just a few short weeks, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, I mean, you can't just throw something like this together at the last minute or anything. Yeah, it's taken a little bit of preparation but no, we came to it, I think, pretty well prepared. Like I said, we have a nice team put together. Some very dedicated individuals, all helping out in select areas. We have some nice costumers. We have great people working in props on the stage, with the lights, with the sound. No, it's all just coming together very, very well. And yeah, I mean, it's scripted. We have a full length play, and while it's a shorter full-length play, it's only running about 2 hours long. While it's short, like people like our George Bailey and like our Clarence and like our Mary and our Potter, I mean, they all have a chunk of the lines, and they've all had to learn them very, very quickly. But no, they've all done a very good job. I've told them right on from the beginning, okay, we have a very short run at this. Start learning your lines now. Don't wait. Do it now. And they've all pitched in, and they've all been working very, very hard. They're really doing well with their lines.
When I think about this production, it will be a gift of community players to the community. But I also think it has a chance to affect people's holiday season as they reflect on what really is an excellent story.
Yeah. It's a Wonderful Life. I mean, anyone who's familiar with the movie, I mean, it's on television every year, run over and over again. And I know personally in my family, we've always had a copy of it. So it's always a tradition to sit down as a family and watch the film. The messages of It's a Wonderful Life, I mean, it's so universal because it talks about just how important, like, the everyman type of character, like how the average Joe, the average person, impacts so many people around them, just through their acts of kindness, their acts of love, through their hard work. And you're not a failure if you have friends. You're not a failure if you have people who love you. And what's also sometimes overlooked is the element of depression and suicidal thoughts that occur, specifically in the holiday season. I mean, I believe the holiday season has some of the highest suicide rates. But the purpose of It's a Wonderful Life, the original purpose of the book that it was based on, which was a short story named The Greatest Gift, the message of that show was the greatest gift that person has is their life, and they shouldn't throw it away just on a whim, because your life impacts so many people. And while you may not think that you're worth much, deep down, if you really look at your life, you are always important. You always have so many people that you impact. regardless of how big or little you think your actions are.
Colt Watson joins us on this part of the program today. He is a member of the cast, plays Sam Wainwright, and also is the dramaturge for It's a Wonderful Life. There's a lot of historical significance, even though this is a play that is fiction, if that's the right term, but there is certainly a lot of historical significance that we relate to as we watch this production, isn't there, Colt?
Yes, I would say that's very true. If you look at the time period that It's a Wonderful Life takes place over, which is about 20 years from the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, we have a lot of significant events in American history. We have the Great Depression at the end of the Roaring '20s, and then World War II that took place during most of the early '40s. And It's a Wonderful Life reflects those periods and shows how those affected this small town of Bedford Falls. So there was a lot of historical information to sift through, not only from that point of view, but also from the point of view of the film itself and how that first impacted the American culture. When Franz Capra first directed and produced It's a Wonderful Life, it came out around December 1946, and the movie actually didn't do too well because it came out kind of at the end of the holiday season, although Franz Capra didn't really want to play up the Christmas part of the story, but it eventually seemed to be synonymous with that. And most audiences found George's character, since he's an everyman, he's not really that exciting. This was a period after World War II, so we were used to these big, larger-than-life heroes who do great deeds, and George Bailey is just this regular guy who affects his small town, but while it's in an impactful way, people just found it kind of naive and almost depressing. And so by the 1960s and 70s, the company that owned the film just let the copyright expire because it seemed it was destined to be a failure. But then the TV programming were looking for cheap films that they could show around Christmas time, and they found It's a Wonderful Life, and they're like, well, this is really cheap, we can just show this all around Christmas time. And for some reason, people in the 60s and 70s really enjoyed the show and really understood the message it was going for, and so it's become that timeless classic that we all think of now.
It's kind of interesting in itself. I mean, the history as you've portrayed it here, Colt, in some ways follows the storyline of It's a Wonderful Life, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's also interesting. When it was produced, the movie was produced, the style of film and television in that era was all very happy-go-lucky, I Love Lucy type of programs, and so something like It's a Wonderful Life seemed probably extremely depressing at the time, but today we look at it and we realize just how uplifting such a show is. But yeah, no, it definitely, like Colt was saying, it reflects history so much because George Bailey almost reflects the society in many ways, because he himself goes through a bit of depression during the Great Depression, and it's not until after World War II and all that he's able to discover his happiness.
The challenge of dealing with one's conscience, of doing what's right. There are lots of themes that you as a director could choose to highlight if you were discussing this with a group of children, for example, or this was the topic of a book club or something else. There are just lots of things for us to pick up on and learn from, and It's a Wonderful Life.
Absolutely. There's tons of great messages in the show. I mean, I've only covered some of them. You could go on for hours, write a nice little article, an essay about all the different themes and messages of the show. But yeah, no, I really think we're hitting hard with our cast. What exactly the big ones I wanted to cover, and I know for me personally, I mean, part of the reason why we chose this show specifically. I got together with some of the board members over the summer, and I started discussing early on, I'm interested in doing It's a Wonderful Life. And the main reason behind that was because we lost a good friend, a great community member, Deb Zarea, over the summer, and this marks the third person we've lost in this community theater over the past 5 years. Corey Bob and Lee Honer being the other two. And something that all three of those people have in common is just they were those everymen. They were those George Baileys. They were those.
They were passionate.
They
weren't
were absolutely passionate. They were absolutely selfless. They were very, very loving people, very joyful people. They were great just to be. They had this presence about them that just filled you with joy when you were around them. And I couldn't think of a better show to represent community players' feelings for these three than this one. And so this show means a lot to us as a community theater in general because of those reasons. And I'm very happy that we're doing it. I'm happy that it's going well and that we're able to do it justice for those three at the very least.
It strikes me, Colt, again, kind of putting on your dramaturge hat if we can, that for me at least, I always think of this as the movie. I didn't think about it as a play. And in fact, when community players announced we're going to do It's a Wonderful Life, I mean, I thought that's great, but was kind of surprised there was a play.
Yeah, I think most people wouldn't be familiar. I didn't know that there was a play version of It's a Wonderful Life. And of course, there will be some differences. I mean, I'd say the play is also shorter than the film simply because we have to condense some of the scenes together. And when there's, any panning shots where there's no dialogue, but you're not going to see those in a stage production. And some dialogue between like George or Mr. Potter takes place at different moments. But again, that's for the purposes of transferring a film version into a theatrical production. But overall, I think it's a very good representation. It has all the original messages, all the great moments that you remember from the film, and so I think it's going to be a very excellent production.
So if we're like Don's family, and every Christmas we watch It's a Wonderful Life, we must be in the theater next Thursday night or Friday, Saturday, or Sunday afternoon to enjoy it live locally.
Yes, I think you should.
Tell us about your role in the play, Colt.
Well, my role in the play as Sam Wainwright is very minor compared to the large amount of dialogue that George, Clarence, Leah, and Potter all have to learn. And Sam Wainwright is sort of a juxtaposition to George Bailey. They're both around the same age. They went to the same high school and grew up together. But Sam was the person who was able to be very successful. They got out of the small town of Bedford Falls. He makes a whole bunch of money. He's able to go on business trips to New York and Europe all the time. So he has the lifestyle that George sort of envies and wishes that he had. But at the same time, we don't really know how Sam's regular life impacts or how he impacts the lives of others around him. But it's important to establish that relationship between him and George so we understand sort of why George isn't extremely happy with the life that he has. I mean, he's grateful for his family and his kids, but there's still things that he wishes he could have done with his life, and Sam Wainwright represents those ideas.
Yeah, they're almost complete foils to one another as characters. In other words, they're opposite enough to show just how different they are from one another. Yeah, George envies probably what Sam Wainwright's being able to do with his life. But yeah, Cole brings up a good point. Sam Wainwright may not impact people the same way that George does at a personal level, because George is working with people who he's giving out loans to just to have a place to stay, a home over, a roof over their head, and Sam, doesn't work with those type of people probably, but no, it's a great type of character to establish in a show, just to show the differences.
I've often wondered, Colt, if the most important role for Sam isn't to help define who George is.
Yeah, I would say so. And what's been very interesting, I don't know if Don cast it this way on purpose, but George Bailey is played by Greg Schmidt, who is my stepdad. So I'd say both age difference, but also personality-wise, which are different people, and it comes off very so in George and Sam's interaction. George is more quiet and stoic, and costume-wise, he wears sort of darker colors, and then as Sam, I have this very fabulous white suit, and I burst into the scene very obnoxiously and smoking a cigar and drinking scotch, so you can tell right off the bat how different these two are.
Are you having fun with it, Colt?
Yes, it's been a very fun role for how small it is, because again, it's just that moment of Sam gets to have a moment in the spotlight and be very present, and so I've got to play with that, and it's been a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll continue to meet the cast of It's a Wonderful Life. Before we do that, though, Don, tickets will be sold at the door exclusively for It's a Wonderful Life, opening next Thursday night, correct?
That is correct, and we have ticket prices. The general ticket will be $10, but we do have other discount prices. We have for kids 12 or under, the ticket price would be $5, and we have a special family pack for 2 adults and 2 or more 12 or under kids for $25. So those are our discounts, and yes, everything will be sold at the door specifically for that day of the show. We won't be giving out any early tickets or anything.
So 7:30 nightly, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, next
Yep.
week, and then you'll complete the run Sunday at 2 o'clock.
Yep, we'll have a matinee at 2 on Sunday.
All at the Richland County Performing Arts Center, the City Auditorium.
Yes.
Awesome. Stay with us. Our morning show continues in just a moment. Our morning show today is devoted to community players of southwestern Wisconsin, proud to present It's a Wonderful Life. Opening night is 1 week from tonight in the downtown Richland County Performing Arts Center. And then there are 4 performances, 7:30 next Thursday, Friday and Saturday, and then 2 o'clock next Sunday afternoon. Make your plans now to attend and enjoy. With, as Don Hart mentioned, all tickets sold at the door. Our guests today include Don Hart, Colt Watson, you've heard from both of those gentlemen. On this part of the program today, Paul Murphy and Leah Spry join us, and Glenn Dunn will be joining us in a few moments as well. To both of you, best wishes with the major roles that you have. Maybe we can talk a little bit, Paul, though, about the auditorium, the Performing Arts Center. This will be the first time when there's been a major production now that the old city office walls have been removed and there's this wonderful lobby.
That's right. I do want to put in a special plug for my co-design lead, Robin McCoy, who I've worked with for the past 3 years. Robin is my calming influence because as I panic about everything doing lobby designs and say, that won't work, it's too ugly, she calms me down and she makes it happen. So she makes my vision come true. We always have a challenge when we do lobby displays for community players because, first of all, when we're at the high school, I mean, that's such a huge, vast area that we need to fill up. So now we're at the City Auditorium, and this is the first time that Robin and I have ever worked there. It's a smaller space, and it is, most of your listeners will know, it's sort of under deconstruction, reconstruction, so we have to, kind of work around that. But I think people will be absolutely amazed at what the potential of that lobby can be now. That you mentioned that the city offices that some of us used to go to pay taxes and stuff like that are now gone. So what we've created, I think, is a sort of a vision of what it could actually look like. So to put a shameless plug in for RCPAC, when they come calling for money, give generously because that building has a lot of potential. And I think people are going to see that because I've been to a lot of events at the auditorium, but I don't believe that I've ever seen anybody like what we've done for the lobby is actually kind of use the space and kind of give people a picture. And plus, as we heard, this show is being dedicated to the memory of Debbie Zarea, and we have a beautiful display in her honor, and audience members can actually interact because we have kind of an oversized card where people are asked to jot down their memories of Debbie that we'll give to Aaron and the boys, at the end of the show. So audience members can participate in it. And also there's a display there of everything, and Deb was really with community players for 9 years, but when I actually went through all the documentation from our group that I had since we started, there are 2 solid pages of a display of everything that Debbie did in different capacities. I mean, the woman was amazing, we all knew that, but she was good at everything. Some people are good at something but not other things. She was great at everything, and she photographed beautifully. To pick the pictures that Robin and I did to display, there's not a bad picture, whether it's Deb's personal life or family life or her show life. There wasn't a bad picture of Debbie ever taken. So it was a real hard decision to pick, which pictures we wanted to display, but it's a beautiful display that we've done for her, and she deserves it.
Absolutely. Well, Leah, congratulations landing the role of Mary, and It's a Wonderful Life. When you went to auditions, was that your hope secretly?
Honestly, no. I wanted to be Violet, but I think I'm probably more like Mary as it is. So.
Are you having fun with the role?
Yes, I'm having a lot of fun. It's the biggest role I've ever had, probably ever will have, but I'm totally okay with that. And I'm having tons of fun. I get to be with a lot of great people. So.
Were you real familiar with It's a Wonderful Life? Was your family one that would watch the movie, or had you had a chance to see it?
I'd seen it a couple times when I was really little, and then a few years, not really, and then the last several years I've seen it a lot, and it's great. I love Jimmy Stewart, so.
For you, as we were talking in the lobby though, having had a chance to see the movie, really the story we're going to see is presented by community players is going to be really familiar if we've seen the movie.
It is very close. A few things are cut, like I don't actually get to dance and fall into a pool, but it's mentioned, so I'll go with that. But it's very close to the movie. I mean, a lot of people can probably quote it along with us, so.
You are required to really act in this because we need to be able to see Mary's emotions because she goes through some roller coasters, doesn't she?
She does. A lot of her special moments with George are somehow ruined by something else, so she gets to be very depressed and sad for a little bit. But at the same time, she's kind of George's rock, and he, in some ways, without realizing, he kind of leans on her to cheer him up, often with the Buffalo Girls song. So.
But I also think about real life and how oftentimes relationships work. There's a fair amount of reality in the life of George and Mary Bailey, isn't there?
There is. It's in any relationship there is struggle and there is joy, and they go through a lot of that together. I mean, there are some times it's like he's like, no, this isn't gonna work, and she's like, it will, come on. But it is very real. It happens every day, everywhere.
Do you have the hope, Leah, that people who come will have their holiday enhanced as a result of being able to attend It's a Wonderful Life?
Not only their holiday, but I hope it will affect every day of their life. It's a great message, not just for the holidays. Like, it wasn't even intended to be a holiday movie, but everyone associates it with that, and the message should apply all the time. Having Christmas spirit all year round, sort of thing. So.
What is your most favorite aspect of playing the part of Mary?
Well, I guess it's kind of a big, long, confusing thing. When I wanted to audition, because I knew it was in honor of Deb Zarea. And for some reason, I always pictured her as sort of a Mary character. And so I try to base, like, whenever I, like, smile or something, I picture her smiling. And I don't know, kind of like that, I guess.
Deb had a grace on stage and a confidence that you as a theater patron just enjoyed watching. I think that's a tremendous tribute to want to be like that, Leah, as a young woman following in her footsteps. That is a worthy ideal.
She wasn't in my first play, but she was a part of it, and I got to know her one night. We just talked, and ever since then she is always and always will be a huge inspiration, and yeah.
You are on stage a lot. You were talking in the lobby beforehand that this production really moves. You have to pay close attention, don't you?
It's very fast. At first, when I read through the script, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm only on stage these few times. I've got a few breaks, but everything moves so quickly. I'm off and I'm right back on. So
which really
fast.
means you have to be on your game 100% for 2 solid hours, don't you?
Yes, I have to be right, which is kind of hard for me. I'm kind of a semi-ditzy person, so I've got to be standing right there watching.
Oh, that's okay. Now I understand.
Oh, yeah. It's fun, though, to be a part of this kind of production, isn't it? Where I think, even though people might think about Donna Reed, we've been laughing about that this morning, and Jimmy Stewart, the reality is they know this story, and they'll engage with you right from the get-go. That, to me, I think will be fun.
Yes.
So, well, Paul, you are?
Henry F. Potter. Which apparently is no surprise to people that I know in Richmond Center. Because when I told people that I was cast in the show, and once they heard the show, immediately before I even took a breath, they all said, oh, you must be Potter. And so
Merry Christmas, Paul.
Yeah. So apparently I've been typecast.
It, though, is a great role to play, isn't it, from the standpoint of thinking about how do I affect the attitudes and the emotions of the people who are watching me?
Boy, you got that right. When you just made that comment to Leah about, what audiences will expect to see on stage versus the movie, that some of these people probably will know by heart. The Potter character is almost 100% verbatim from the movie. It's sort of like the playwright kind of lifted the lines and the scenes that Potter has from the movie. So that does give me a certain kind of responsibility that, yeah, I can put my own little personal touches in it because I'm no Lionel Barrymore. But I can't deviate too much from what people are going to expect because my part is really, really close, which you would assume would make it easier for me to memorize my lines. Well, thank you, Don, for the compliment that we all memorized our lines. They'll be ready in a week, that's for sure. But yeah, it's an awesome responsibility and a great part. It is a lot of fun.
But what a contrast in the emotion that Leah will try to bring to us as Leah, as compared to what you will bring to us as
No
Potter.
kidding. I mean, it is very interesting when you kind of look at, Clarence's character and Mary and George and Potter, how basically all four of those characters are so different from each other, yet they all kind of, blend and one feeds off the other, in terms of moving the plot along. It really is pretty amazing.
Really, when we think about it, your years in education, challenging students to think about what this play provides. It's rich, isn't it, in terms of the ways we could take it and what we can learn from it.
It is, and probably some of my former students that might be listening would say, well, of course you're Potter, because you were Potter in the classroom when you were hollering at us about our writing skills. So, but that's true. It is very much kind of an interpretive thing, but, we got to stick to what, especially with this kind of a show, that is, the movie is so well known, we really do have to be careful about how much we deviate from what people will expect to see.
You're in a wheelchair.
Yes. It's interesting, and it's been 3 years since I've been on stage with community players, in the 3-year gap between being FDR and Annie, which a part I also love. Same wheelchair, being wheeled around again by a second Carlson brother, this time Dan and not Paul. So my worst nightmare is that during the show, I'm going to break out singing The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow. Some repressed memory will come back because everything is like deja vu here. And I'm hoping that's not going to happen because that doesn't exactly fit the Potter character. But as I've said to community players, pick a show with a guy in a wheelchair and I'm in. That seems to be, I feel a little bit like Frank Sinatra. How many times did he retire and then come back? But yes, I am back.
We talked about your role as FDR, just that challenge of, and you did it masterfully.
Well, thank you.
But, it does add to your whole issue of how
That's
you
right.
respond on stage, doesn't it?
And I kind of, I never actually thought of myself as a character actor. Well, in my younger days, of course, when I was in the campus all the time, I wanted to do everything. Well, as I've aged, unfortunately, character actors and character parts are great. Glenn Dunn, who you're going to talk to next, is a fantastic character actor. And it's the same way with FDR. I couldn't deviate a whole lot because there were a lot of people in the audience that actually, didn't know FDR, but they were alive when FDR was around. So I had to really kind of research FDR and watch him at the same time to make sure that I got some of those mannerisms down, because I don't want people to say, well, I wasn't like, so-and-so. But same way with Potter. So.
Well, it's exciting. Looking forward to it. Best wishes to both of you and the
Thank
parts
you.
that you will play.
Thanks.
Speaking of Clarence and Glenn Dunn, he is up next when the morning show continues from WRCO FM. I think without any reservation, we can promise that your holiday season will be enhanced if you take the time to enjoy It's a Wonderful Life, presented by Community Players of Southwestern Wisconsin. Glenn Dunn is with us on this part of the program. He plays the role of Clarence. Glenn, it's great to see you. Best wishes for an awesome performance.
Thanks, Ron.
You
Appreciate
having
that.
fun?
Oh, I certainly am.
Somehow, if they would have given me a list of characters and said, who do you think is going to play Clarence? I would have picked you.
Yeah. I think a lot of people picked me before Don even announced who the cast list should be, so there you go. I'm just typecast. That's all. Yeah.
But it just seems to me that it's a circumstance that you would enjoy playing when we compare it to the other roles that you've accepted when Community Players is called.
Oh, sure. Clarence actually acts like the comic relief in the whole thing. He also acts as sort of George's conscience and sort of like a narrator through the entire play, sort of kind of weaving everything together.
But it's a fun role, isn't it, Glenn?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I can. Well, actually, it's kind of interesting because I will be using my real voice this time on stage as opposed to an accent. So,
Are you going to be able to handle that?
I know it's gonna be crazy. I tell you, man, it's gonna be such a change to do that. I tell you, I don't know. Crazy
Because
for me.
you've always, when you were Shmi and Peter Pan, I mean, you've always had to.
I've
have
always had some
something else,
weird
yeah.
lisp or
So,
some accent or something. I don't know what I'd be doing.
so you're going to use the real Glenn Dunn voice.
The real Glenn Dunn voice. So that'll be one of the firsts.
A challenge.
A
for
challenge,
Glenn.
a challenge for me. Yeah, exactly.
You, in many ways, will be a focal point. We're going to watch what everyone else is doing, but it really gives you a chance to as well. We're going to watch your mannerisms, much like I talked with Paul being Potter, aren't we?
Right, exactly. Clarence is basically, according to the movie, I think the movie says that Clarence is a 200-year-old angel. He's never gotten his wings. He's a little slow, but he's got like the faith of a child. He's got a good heart, but he's just not all that bright. So there you go. So it fits me perfect. So you know.
What was your reaction when you heard Community Players had decided this Christmas we will give the community It's a Wonderful Life?
Actually, I thought it was a great pick for a play. I really enjoy that we're doing something to sort of memorialize, whatever that word is. Anyway, but to sort of for Deb, you know, to have something sort of, you know, to be there. But you know, it's kind of interesting. Growing up, I've never actually liked the movie because you know I'd watch the movie and you know this normal guy, he's doing his best. And you know, all these things, his world comes crashing down and he wants to commit suicide. And I'd usually just turn the TV off. You know, I never actually watched the entire movie, but folks, it actually gets better at the end after that. So
You would have been rewarded had you stayed with it, wouldn't
well,
you?
exactly.
Which is your message to George, isn't it?
That's right. I should listen to myself once in a while. Yeah.
And I guess I haven't really talked about the set and so forth, but it is not a complicated set.
It's a very simple one scene-ish type thing, and we basically just move like a desk or a chair or a counter, you know, back and forth, which is great. It's just like the old Honeymooners show. If you ever watch that show, it's always in the kitchen. You know, that was it, and they did the entire series just like that. And I think that's the way theater should be. People understand that, ooh, wait a minute, that's an indoor window and that's supposed to be an outdoor window now, and they'll figure it out.
I think there's something good that happens in the holiday season where people attitudinally, Glenn, just have a different feeling, you know, where they're maybe more up to say hi or something else. We combine that attitude with It's a Wonderful Life. I just have to think that you as actors, those who are behind the scenes, everyone who's contributing, will have to feel very good when people leave that Performing Arts Center next Thursday through Sunday, thinking about the holidays, thinking about life, thinking about George and Clarence.
Yeah, it's actually kind of it's a very cool concept when you think about it. I mean, here it is, being the actor, you're just doing stuff. You know, sometimes you get paid for it, sometimes you don't, but you're just doing whatever you're doing. And then to bring joy or bring a thought, or even to have, even if it's a play that's not really happy, where people scratch their heads and go, yeah, and it makes them think. That's what makes it all worthwhile as an actor.
I think what Leah said was just incredibly important. Not only does it affect their holiday season, but affects them well past the holiday.
Oh, absolutely. You know, for good or bad, all your actions reflect. It's like ripples in a pond.
Mm-hmm.
You know, either it's a good ripple or a bad ripple. You're going to affect something else down the line. So.
I could ask, are you having fun? But
Oh,
I've been in the studio here enough to know that you
Yeah.
guys are having fun. This is a
Always, it's a blast. It's always fun to do. You get to meet new people. I met the other Carlson brothers, so there you go. You know, so it's always a great time. And you're right. It's a good camaraderie between the actors. If we weren't having fun, we wouldn't be doing it. So.
I also think this, though, is another opportunity for community players, if you will, to put a feather in that collective hat of great productions for the community. Memorable productions.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And it's kind of good. We're doing this one sort of on a shoestring budget ish, where it's not a big full blown production, but it's still a quality production. It's still we still put in the time, the effort. You're still going to see a quality play. It just won't be as glitzy. We won't have people flying in on wires and things like that. Clarence does not fly during this one. I hate to disappoint anyone, but no, I will not be flown in on wires. So.
Next time.
Hey, when we get a little more money.
When we get to like a $20,000 budget for the show,
Exactly.
we'll have wires.
Yeah.
Glenn, best wishes as you play Clarence, and It's a Wonderful Life.
Thank you.
We have just a moment left on. I think when people come, you have just a great core of actors here. This scratches the surface. Really, there's a fairly significant group of people working to bring this to fruition, isn't there?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a great cast. It's about 28 people, I believe. But we've got a bunch of people working behind the scenes. We've got Paul, obviously, working on the lobby. We've got his wife, Louise, working in props, and she always does a great, great job. We've got Ken Nitka working in lights. We've got Steve Davis working with sound. We've got Nikki Alba working with as a stage manager. And we've got a stage crew team that we're putting together. Just everyone is doing such a great job. I'm so happy with the results. We've got great costumers, Cindy Cheeker and Deb McCoy. I couldn't ask for a better team of people.
Oh, Brandon.
Well, best wishes for a great production, and we'll look forward to seeing it and celebrating the holidays with you with excellent theater.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you.
Welcome. Our thanks to all of our guests this morning. With a reminder again, opening night is 1 week from tonight, 7:30, then 7:30 next Friday and Saturday. Final performance a week from this Sunday is at 2 o'clock. All tickets at the door. There will be plenty of seating, although it would be great if you ran out every single performance.
Oh, absolutely. We'd be overjoyed. We had over 600 people coming to see the show. We'd be more than overjoyed.
Come more than once.
Yeah.
It'll be worth it. So thanks to all of you for being awesome guests and contributing members to wonderful theater in our community. We'll be back with more on The Morning Show tomorrow.